I was just I was just outside for a second thinking and speaking about a wonderful acknowledgement for individuals' habitation of economics and cleansing, and individuals telling me how hard he work a certain type of way, and all he do is love working and doing things. And I was like, this wonderful what he was telling me, but a person getting the guy's mad young, so him growing up thinking like working is wonderful is a wonderful thing because listen to this. You see how a person has like or power plants, oil rigs, and stuff like that, like a certain field, and then they think about or even like oil spills. How does oil spills happen in physics? Something one has to have a preparation for one's habitation a certain type of way when things are happening. It's just like all right, I'm gonna show you something. You see, you ever had like a U-shaped tunnel in your garden for like the water, and then you lay down the piping of your hose a certain type of way around the side, and then it if it rains, the water seeps out the garden because the garden could be built in like a hill, a certain type of hill, or a certain type of form of shape that if the water builds up, it'll seep down the side filtering, and then certain things happen. Like let me draw out something for you to see what I'm speaking about a certain way. All right, all right. I'm gonna draw out something for you. For you to see the type of acknowledgement I'm speaking about. Let me explain something to you. Let me draw it for a second. All right, look at this. Say a person has like some type of power plant or something or whatever, right? And then you have a field. Say like there's an oil spill or some type of spill a certain type of way in a power plant. Then you have a regiment garden a certain type of way that has points of a certain type of reality a certain type of way, and I'm going to show you the adjustment of the situation. So now, and if it is over flooding a certain type of way, it leads to another type of situation. So one has to know the reason of habitation a certain type of way. Right? So I'm going to show you. Okay, now look at this, right? Say for instance, this is like a U-shaped surface for one security measures uh, of reality, right? That goes all along a certain type of way in one's habitation if something happens in a case of emergency, right? That leads an individual to a certain type of reality. Now look at this. This is a quick format of a certain type of situation. You see how this is drawn on here? Now let me finish explaining the drawing to you a certain type of way. Now you have, say there's like an oil spill in a power plant, right? Then you have the natural the natural containment portion of the situation a certain type of way, right? My Now look at this. Now look at this. You see this? Now let me explain what this is, right? Now, as we observing, you see if an oil spill happens, you have like U-shaped place that sends the water rush of the oil spill. If it flooding the floor, that it seeps to a certain part of the floor, that it spills in order. It doesn't flood all over the place and cause a big mess. And then, say for instance, is like you see these little long tubes, the straight tubes on the bottom, and then you see the covering like a capsule, like if there was an oil spill, you have say this molding is like where the oil spill happens. Say it happens in the room over there, but as it seeps to a certain place, if it spills out the containment unit, like see how you have the containment unit right here, because a person says, look, if you have a power plant or oil rig, right? And then say the oil rig right here overflows. You have a literal you say the oil rig overflows. You have a literal containment unit where it flows to the tank. So now, say you have a oil rig land, and then you have the spill where it flows right here to the tank. Now the tank would be built into the floor also, so you would have like a 10 inch tank, a 8 inch tank, a 12 inch tank, or a 12 inch tank, a certain type of way. And then if the oil spills, it'll seep through it'll seep through its route. The route is supposed to go a certain type of way, and it'll fall into the tank. So the tank would have a natural covering. So if that happens, they uncover the tank. It's like a manhole. You uncover the tank, but it's just to hold the oil that's spilt in there, and then to reinsure the oil spill. Now let me show you something else. Now this is something else I wanted to draw to reinsure the oil spill. Now the tank would have like little piping, hell, let me draw it right here like this. Little side piping that will go right back to the tank, to the main tank or the backup tanks that's not being used a certain type of way. So you would have some empty backup tanks. So if there's an oil spill in the main tanks, now you see how I drew it in the back of it, right? Now, if you have an oil spill in the main tanks, you have a backup tanks. Now you have small piping that runs along underground to the backup tanks and fills up the backup tanks, because as it fills the floor tanks, because the floor would have like manholes, so it would be like a big dome that's built under the ground, and then it seep to the floor tank, and then the floor tank would be filled. So the pressure, you could have a nozzle for the pressure that you turn on, that it pumps the spill back into the backup tanks. The backup tanks are right here. You spill it back into the backup tanks and fills the backup tank so it could contain the tank. If one of the tanks, say one of the tanks has an explosion or something, it contains the oil where it's not spread out all over the place, and it's still into a tank where the main tank could be the main tank could be repaired. You understand? So the main tank ends up, say these are the main tanks. the main tanks could be repaired because of an individual causing whatever. Say whatever happens, it might be an accident, and then you have a backup tank where the main tanks can be repaired, and it's not actually a backup tank. It's actually a tank that's just waiting if something happens, that it could seep into it and hold the momentum of the situation of the oil, and then it seeps into the little pipes that's built into the floor tanks. You can see the floor tanks have coverings. So it seeps into the little pipes of the floor tanks and goes back up into the main tank, the backup tanks. So we're going to put this backup tanks. Seeps into the backup tanks. So these are the backup tanks right here. See, and these are the main tanks. These are the main tanks right here. So these are the main tanks, and then you got the backup tank, and then you have another tank just in case something happens. It could always seep into the floor tank, and then you could extract it to the main backup tanks, or to if you wanted to clean. So you would have three sets of tanks. You would have the main tanks, and then you have the backup tanks, and then you have the cleansing tanks where you can clean the tank every now and then, like you would clean the tank. And then on top of it, you got the floor tanks. So after it seeped out the floor tanks, because when you clean the tank, you would drain it. It go to the floor tanks, go into the piping of the floor tanks, go to the backup tanks, and then you'll be able to clean the main tank and the floor tanks. And then after the floor tanks, you have another piping around the way around it, built to back to the main tanks. So after the main tanks are cleaned, you could fill it back up, and then you could clean up the backup. You could clean the backup tanks, and everything would be cleansing. So you have a cycle of cleansiness. So there would be no excuse without the cleansiness. Now, okay, now this is something else I was speaking about, right? Now, you see, I'm a man. You know me. Look at me. I love tattoos and stuff, right? I gotta get, I gotta get more tattoos done for myself a certain type of way. But yeah, matter of fact, let's not get into that conversation. Let me speak about something else. Now, I was thinking about, the future of economics. Everything is going into so let's think about economics right now. Everything is going into the future, so it's going to the future technology. Other people's thinking about solar panel technology. Solar panel technology is wonderful for the future. A lot of people in the countries, or country people, or people of certain habitations in the city are not going to be able to have solar power technology, depending. Some might have a person that has solar panel technology. Some might have to build it on a floor mat, or a wall mat to the building, or the floor, or the roofing, or doing shingle work like roofing. Like you're gonna replace the shingles with the solar panel technology, or you're gonna replace the natural wall with solar panel technology. Some people might even put it on the floor of their backyard for the solar panel technology. Now, let me show you something. But you see, this is where I don't agree with it, because it's just like, let me explain a certain situation to you. This is dealing with higher consciousness and the receptiveness of individuals. Now, say if a person had like a cemetery, and then say, I'm gonna give you an instance, a certain type of idea. For instance, say a person had like a cemetery, or some sacred land, a certain type of way of consecration, right? And then they say the star being, say if you have nothing but family buried in one place, or certain people a certain type of way. If a star being comes down to enlighten the habitation of the natural element of the conduct of the current of the family, to give them a form of receptiveness, for they could be of higher quality, enlightened in a certain type of way. You don't want an individual that's not the social economic of the family's habitation of the astrological tree being in place, because you don't want the intent of the conduct of the high receptiveness of the light going to the wrong habitation of light of one's natural social economics, of one's astrological tree, of the enlightenment of one's family at a time. Even though it makes up a main empress, but at a time you don't want a person to be cheated because you have a natural order when it comes to habitation in life. So individuals have natural orders for certain things. That's the way certain things are going to be conducted for themselves in life. So especially dealing with a star being, even enlightening, it's like having a corporation meeting or a company meeting, and then you enlightening the board or the individuals of the corporation, of the levels, the presidents of certain things, the individuals that can that monitor and also manages the reason of the current revenue of one's company at a time. So if you have individuals, say you having a business meeting, like a marketing meeting, and you dealing with your marketing because at a certain time you need a certain type of receptiveness for the month, for the marketing, for individuals to have a certain revenue to keep everything exactly precisely according to their quarter of their natural establishment of one's social economics, of one's partial reality, of one's being. Now you see, I'm just gonna zone you into to show you how real situations are even in the physical reality. Now, if you have a literal, say, like, I'm giving you an example, like say you have like a star being that comes in and enlightens the ground of individuals' natural habitation to revive an individual's consciousness a certain type of way. For individuals that's alive could even know about the form of receptiveness, or honor the reason of their dignity and come into homage and humility to be even a memorial for individuals a certain type of way, right? If you have somebody that's not of your astrological tree and you're doing something sacred for your astrological tree, your celestial tree, your family tree, you don't want an outsider violating the natural sacredcy of the reason why is one is honoring the reason of their honor and dignity of their sacredcy. So you don't want the natural conduct or the luck going to anybody else. It's just like a marketing firm, certain type of marketing firm. So what you would do? You would literally make sure that the intellectual conduct of the sacredcy of the current reality is in order, so there will be no excuses of somebody trying to violate the receptiveness of the family or the sacredcy, so another person wouldn't be causing a mishaps when it comes to the acknowledgement why certain things are so close kept and close knit in families. Now, if you have somebody that's buried on the land, or another person spying in a corporation of economic revenue, and then in trying to cut off a certain form of marketing before certain things happen, is gonna really cause the wrong conduct. It's the same thing with it's just the same thing with an individual with their land. It's just like I was talking about cemetery. It's just like if you have your family buried there and it's only your family, you don't want another outsider that's not your family causing people outsiders to come in and dishonoring the consecration of the purity of the reason of their memorial and the reason of their habitation, where a person can't vandalize their grave site. So there will be no reason of vandalizing the gravesite, just like there will be no reason of an individual spying on a marketing firm if it's a natural habitation of individuals that is conducting the natural revenue for one's income for their social economics. Now, let me explain something else to you. It's just like I was speaking about the solar panel. If a person has a house of their privacy and then you start doing shingle solar panel work, where is the current conduct receptiveness coming from? A certain type of way, it's coming from the high point of the enlightenment. But say a person throws on a reverse switch, like a light switch on their solar panel to turn on their light to be receptive at night, so the moon current could acknowledge the intensity, because if you're doing solar panel technology, you have to have something for the moon current to acknowledge the enlightenment, and the reason why it's going to give it a form of current reality for one's life. And then on top of it, of the enlightenment of one's consciousness at night. So if a person, you have to have a reverse switch a certain type of way. So a reverse switch that turns on the light so the moon can acknowledge the natural current, and the receptiveness of one's reality could be intensified a certain type of way precisely to the positioning of one's enlightenment. Now remember, I'm a star being, so I'm telling you something that only high intellectual people will really realize what I'm saying. Now, if a person turns on a switch, either way, where is the current of the receptiveness of the sacredcy being conducted at the time? Because if you have a neighbor that has a solar panel and then they have wires already running on telephone poles or cable poles, and then connecting to your house, another person's house also. So the solar panel technology, the current, say you want to watch something sacred, you don't want somebody spicing your wire and then receiving the receptiveness of what you're watching for yourself. Is just like a bank account. So you don't want somebody violating your account of your sacredcy. So the same thing to your point of enlightenment, even if it was nothing but just social economics and your and individuals of your point, for you, it's just like working a position or a career in of economical quality. Same thing, even like in a family. If a person is receiving a receptive message, you don't want nobody cutting into your reality, because something could be so sacred is only meant for you at the time, is not meant for another person to acknowledge it a certain type of way. So everybody's just like an apartment building. Everybody has to have their own quarters to the certain things that go on, and then they own or have their own conduct of the reason of certain things being conducted, right? So, okay. Now, if you have individuals receiving a receptive form of the conduct, is it what is the reason? It can be of the social economic equality of a level at a time. It could be a point of form of sacredcy. It could be a point of economic revenue for the quality of the natural intensity of the current reality that's going to be conducted in certain forms, but it's done a certain type of way in a form of sacredcy that nobody needs to know certain things about, only the individuals that need to know about it, right? So, and however it goes on anyway, because I could be speaking about this right now, and then somebody else could be speaking about something else. Same thing, somewhere far away. So in a natural equality, it'll build up at one point, right? Okay. So it's just like, you ever seen the Sorcerer's Apprentice, when they opened up the gate to the gate? So a person says, I only open up gates to heaven. So a person open up a gate to hell and stuff like that. You hear things like that. That's already offending me, but it's my real wife. I have a real astrological empress named Hell. So you're doing certain things and saying certain things. Be careful what you do. And then if you're thinking about physics and equality, even in the physical reality, at a point in time of reality, look at the certain things that I'm speaking about a certain type of way. And this is how you're going to identify and know what's really going on with certain individuals a certain type of way, and how is it related. And I'm the head of all astrological trees of or the reason why I say astrology, because you got a borderline right before super, and I'm the head of all super trees, mega, quantum, highest, and beyond highest. So, and on top of it, because of the space we're in, I'm the head of the astrological trees also. So I'm just being real with you. So, I'm just letting you know. So if a person is pulling in a certain form of conduct and they're using solar panel technology, where is the current reality of an individual? Because if a person is just like, it's just like renting a space, or owning a space, or a person doing something a certain type of way somewhere, and then on top of it receiving a form of receptiveness. Now, where's that receptiveness going? How far is the receptiveness spreading? So a person doing solar panel technology got to be precise with the way they do solar panel technology, because if they do the solar panel technology the wrong way, it could offend the empress, and then on top of it, their lives be detrimentally in danger on a level that you wouldn't even realize, because another person is going to want to know, what did you do? How come a person didn't calculate the little intricacies before certain things started taking place in a certain type of way? Because it's just like putting a solar panel on some frivolous thing that the public use all day, and then you have certain people's pictures conducted on it, and then on top of it, you just have people going up to the situation trying to, plug in their phone or little thing, or And then you be like, yo, wait a minute, how you had this person picture and you doing something? Yo, listen, there ain't no escorts here. You ain't giving away nobody's secrecy. Yo, get the fuck out of here with that. You know, you ain't gonna have unless you're gonna hire a security guard now to watch a certain type of habitation, and only certain people of the habitation get to use it a certain type of way. Then you're gonna start. It's like it's now. There's no such thing as a slave owner where you're gonna start fucking up people's equality a certain type of way and causing certain conduct to go a certain type of way, like you some underground basement rapist a certain type of way. There's a difference in reality the way things are conducted and to comfortability, especially when it comes to the higher acknowledgement. So if a person's doing something a certain type of way, you got to be very careful because it's just like if a person's going to receive somebody's receptive sacred message, you got to be very careful about that because if it's conducted the wrong way and somebody happens to be walking around or somebody just happens to want to just connect or do something a certain type of way, then you have a certain receptiveness to conduct of sacredcy reflecting a certain point, and then you never know what a person's trying to ping or do any little funny things that they're doing, and then next thing you know, you be real fucking serious situations because another person ain't gonna tell you why certain things shouldn't have been done, and you don't wanna. Innocent people's not gonna go to jail because of other people's stupidity that have been trying to find ways to manipulate their reality to fuck up their life. So chill with that. You know, you gotta be careful with the things that you do. So like I said, people in the north is not gonna really be able to have solar panel technology unless is individuals of your how can I say this, your propellers of your windmills or the receptiveness solar panel technology would be it would be conducted in a form of the inner gate of your sacredcy of your land or your farm a certain type of way. So you would have to have a gate, in a consecrated layer of protection for the receptiveness of your solar panel don't go outside, and then on top of it, then you would have to build a solar panel gate, a receptive gate, a certain type of way. And sometimes it may not even be connected to the floor because some of you might be just be renting farm space, so it can't even be connected to the floor a certain type of way. And on top of it, because certain houses you can't even connect it to a certain house a certain type of way with certain connected to certain elements that will cause natural conduct to the ground and then fuck up and then cause other type of things. So you're not going to be receiving certain people's receptive messages, especially if you have people breaking in and entering and trying to violate and fuck up people's economic system. So they got to know exactly how they building and constructing certain things. And the people I'm speaking to is my caretakers, and I'm also speaking to international security. And I already made these videos explaining to you about sacredcy and the people doing escorts and fucking up their secrecy, trying to kill international security and indigenous and Indian people and Caucasian and white people and light skinned people and Hispanic and the natural natives of the land a certain type of when it comes to habitation, and the ones of the higher intellect is just you know it is how can I tell you, it's a privilege that I have this economic equality of this land still fluctuating a certain now notice my vocabulary expression, fluctuating a certain type of way, and there's still equality going towards the future for the receptiveness of other individuals intellect at a time. you know it is a privilege that I have a certain type of situations, a certain type of. I don't have to. I can just kick everybody the fuck off the land and just tell you and just call into martial law. Once I do that, you be fucked up. So don't make me do something like that. So think about what I'm saying. Because I have more than enough reasons why I could get everybody kicked the fuck off this planet. And I own other planets. Certain things will be going without even being said. And then you think about what'll happen. And I don't even bother my kids. Well, not my kids, because before they end up kids, I don't even bother my children when it comes to these type of situations. So you think about it. And if you moving like you some biohazard debris, I'm perfect. Let's think about that. That's one. And also, I'm all signatures. So what the fuck are you doing? Are you stupid? So think about what I'm saying. Don't don't how can I say it? Don't disrespect yourself ahead of time a certain type of way. Be careful. But man, you just think about everything I was telling you. It's wonderful because the guy I was speaking to was telling me this, and I was looking at him like, yo, wait till I get to speak to my caretakers. Like, just for me having this idea, just looking at you and speaking to you a certain type of way. I hope they give you a lot of work to do a certain type of way because you know something, you seem like a person that just love to work, and you should have a revenue for yourself to be able to take care of the quality of the things that you want to do for yourself before for one's habitation in life. And I just didn't want to say nothing. It's just like commending somebody before without them even knowing the reason why they're being commended and having things for themselves a certain type of way through time. You better think about these things, man. I'm just being real. Tonight was a wonderful night. I ran into some other guys that even cared about their social economics. That was even at the time of their enjoyment, they still took time to even think about the quality of individuals' comfortability before one's journey at night, a certain type of way. I look at it on an up and up, then looking at it another type of way. But this is what I have to say. To my caretakers into international security, really do your physics and your homework of what I just said and think about what I'm saying. And to you star beings, take it very seriously before of the reasons of one's intellect because look at what already happened to some of the zodiac. Think about it. Loved one. And look, I was about to talk about something else. I was just about to speak about my tattoos and how I want to look good. So for when girls look at me, oh, this and the other, you think, yeah, for real, man. Loved one, man. Funny thing, and then